Okay, so hey guys, welcome back again to the US Lab video tutorial. Now, in the previous videos, we actually discussed how to how to add rows and columns, okay? So in this video, you're going to specifically study how to remove these rows, how to delete these rows and columns from a Pandas data frame, okay? Now, let's check out. So first, we know we have to import Pandas and numpy. I usually like to import numpy because sometimes you might want to use it. So even if I'm working with pandas, I'm importing numpy as well. So import pandas and numpy libraries. That'll be okay. Maybe we may not use it, but we're still importing it anyway. Run if this is okay. Okay. So this is fine. What you're going to do here is let's create a data frame to work with. All right. So in the previous videos, we've been creating data frames, in form of dictionary and all that. So in now we'll create something from a list maybe. So, okay, we'll just create a list. And I'm sorry, in the previous video, I say something like a pandas list. Pandas dictionary. There is no such thing as pandas dictionary. It is just a Python dictionary, okay? Yeah. So we're going to create, a list here. We can call this maybe a list of movies. So it's could be something like a movies database. And then put some like this. So, okay, we have, let's say we have the first column, says a movie name. So the name of the movie can be some like, I'll just make things up. Excuse my voice. Okay, Super Egos. That's the first movie. And then maybe we can say the genre or the type of this movie or the category, the movie category. We can categorize this as an action movie. This is 100% the dummy data sets that we're creating to work with. So it doesn't have to make a lot of sense. Okay, and then maybe the price for this movie, maybe something like this. Okay, so that's the first record. And then we go on to another record and say this one is actually, maybe we can just call this one Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda. And from a Kung Fu Panda movie, we can create, okay, the action of this movie is going to be, the type of this movie is going to be an action movie as well. And then the price, maybe it is like 350. So let's go on, move into another one, a third record. And this record is going to have to be, maybe I just put a final destination here. Okay. So this final destination, it's actually is maybe a horror movie. And then let's go for the price. Specifically, it's going to be 200. And then we're going to put another movie here. Let's call it maybe Garden Mango. Okay, maybe let's put Mango Garden so it makes more sense. It doesn't have to make sense. I'm just making up things. I don't even know if these movies ever existed. Okay, I know some existed, but for some, I don't know if it ever existed. So I just put it's a Mango Garden. And then I'll just put maybe it's educational movie. There is a type category called educational movie. I'll just say, or maybe it's a religious, I don't know. This is going to be the price again. And then finally, we put another one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add one more record. fifth record is going to be so we can have anything. Let's just put money list. So let's just say this money is our movie is a action movie as well. It's action movie. And then if it's an action movie, okay, sorry, I shouldn't put this one. And then the price for this maybe is 150. Again, I'm putting these squares where they don't belong. Okay, I hope they balance. So for now, let's see if we have any, no error. So this is actually a list, okay? So if you don't know how to create a list, that is actually a list. You can say the type, you can check the type here. I mean here, check the type. And then pass on the name of that item, the name of that object. Movies BB. It is a list, okay? So now we convert this list into a data frame because we're working with Pandas data frames. So we can say here, PD. Sorry, so it's going to be PD dot data frame. It's going to convert it to a data frame. Okay, after converting this into a data frame, now here at the end, okay, let's run if it's okay. So the type now should be a data frame, which is a data frame now, correct? So we're fine. Now let's display to see how it works, how it looks like, sorry, movies DB. So this is actually how it looks like. You have 5 observations or 5 rows. You have 3 columns, 0, 1, and 2 column, okay? Now I might want to specify the rows and columns. And in this case, it makes more sense if you just have to rename the columns. So I'll say add another attribute, which is columns. And then you put some like this and then specify the names of the columns. So for me, the first column is actually a movie name. So I can just pass on this string. It's a movie name. Okay, then put a comma, then add another name. And then this is maybe a movie category. You can just say category or movie type. And then you have the price, a unit price. Okay, so let's run this one, then run this one. Okay, so now we have something that makes more sense. Okay, so we have, we have our data set with a couple of movies and their columns, the rows and columns. So now, as we know that you're going to remove, now today we're going to learn how to remove rows and columns from these, the Pandas data frame. So in order to do so, simply use what we call the drop function. There are different methods to do that, but the drop function is actually fine. Now remember, there is a difference between a drop and drop null. A drop null is actually, it's going to work if you're going to remove the null values, but if you just want to remove a specific, row, just use, a column, just say drop, okay, so use the drop function or drop method. So let's start with removing columns. Removing columns, okay? So removing a single column. So removing a single column is going to be just pretty easy. Just specify your data frame, and in this case, it's movies DB. So you're going to use the drop method, as I say, and it takes some parameters because you have to specify where you want to, what do you want to remove actually. So here, let's say I want to remove this price. And the reason being so, okay, maybe let's make more sense. So for now, we might want to say, maybe this one is actually a null value. But because you have carded, okay. I don't know, maybe you haven't, let's not mess up with that. I just wanted to put this and remove it so it's a null value and see if we're removing null values, but it's okay. So assume you just want to remove for whatever reasons that you have, okay? Now, removing it will be easy. The first thing you have to specify what you want to remove. So here I'll say, if I'm removing a column, I have to pass on the name of the column, okay? As a string. So here I'll say, I'm removing the price column. So removing the price column like this just removes the, but now we have to specify by a very, by being very specific, whether we're removing a column, because at this particular moment, this, this method doesn't actually know whether we're removing a column or, a row. So removing a column, we'll have to specify the axis. So the axis can either be a 0 or a 1, okay? So if we're moving a column, we put a 1. So putting a 1 means we're removing a column. And if the axis is 0, means we're removing a row. So the moral of the story is to always put a 1 if you're removing a column, okay? So right now, I'll run this one. You see, now I get a resulting, this resulting data set. It doesn't have a price column. The price column has been stripped off of this data frame, okay? So that's how you basically go and remove a column, okay? So now, if we run again, movies DB, if we display again, you see we still have a price column in place. And the reason being though is that we have, if you still remember, we covered in the previous video, some of the previous videos, where we said some functions are in place and some are. So if you want to specify this as an in place, it means it will affect the changes and then actually modify the original data set, okay? So right now, this movies DB object hasn't been actually verified. It hasn't been modified. So if you want to modify it, we'll say adding another argument here, say in place. And in place equals to true, basically, because by default, the in place equals to false. So if I say so, then, and run it, okay, sorry. Now, okay. So now let's run it to see, should be removed. As you can see now, the effects have been saved permanently. So the changes were made, but they were not actually updated into this original object because the in place was false. But if the in place is true, then it means you're updating the original object, okay? So in this case, I don't want to update it. So I can either leave it, or I can either not put this argument, or I can explicitly specify that it's a false. So, sorry. The price is not found. I'm sorry, because I already updated. So just a moment. Okay, because I already deleted and I was deleting it again. That's the reason. So now I don't want to change the original file. Okay, so now you have seen how to remove, a single column from a database, from a data set. Now let's try removing multiple columns. So removing multiple columns from a data frame. Okay, I'll just do this by calling movies DB data frame, then I'll say drop, just the same. But inside here, I'll specify. So specifying it, I'll start by saying I want to remove maybe category and price. So I'll say it doesn't matter which one you start with, just for as long as you just get the names correctly, exactly the way they look. Don't misspell it. So it will be category, and then it will be a price. So I'm telling this function to remove these two columns, category and price, but I haven't specified whether it's a column or not. So I'll say axis equals to 1. So by saying this, it means I've already stated that I want to remove the columns because axis equals to 1 means a column. So, and then in place, I'm not putting anything. I said not putting anything, it means equals to false. So I don't want it to remove my original file. So I do have to update my original object. So this is exactly how it's going to look. Okay. Now, if you just display movies DB, it will tell you just the exact, data frame that it was original. So that's how actually you remove columns from a data frame. Okay. Now let's go on to remove some rows from this data frame. Okay. Now, removing rows. This is going to be something pretty easy. It's similar to that, just have to specify the rows in place of columns. So I'll say, I want to remove it from this object, from this Pandas data frame. And then I'll say drop, I'll call the drop method. And I'll say, okay, now I want you to remove a column. These columns, as you can see, they're also numbered. So you have to state the number, okay? So in this case, I'm going to remove, maybe I want to remove this final destination from the list. Now I know it's, row number 2. So here I'll say number 2, okay, just like I said, and then specify the axis. If I don't specify the axis, I'll bump to an error, okay? So I don't want to bump into an error. I have to be very specific. I'll say it's a 0 row. Again, an in place works the same as here. So just run it. As you can see, row number 2 is missing here. Okay. If you have so many data sets, I would recommend that you display the shape, because here we have, small number of data, of number of rows and columns. So I can just observe with my eyes, or you can observe with your eyes that you actually have removed something. Okay. So if you want to see whether you have removed, sometimes you have a data set that is a very huge file. Just check the shape and see the number of rows and columns, see if you have deleted or actually if you have added any. So here you have actually deleted this one. Removing rows, that would be like removing a single row. Now let's go on to removing multiple rows from a data frame. Okay. Now I'm going to remove, so I'll use the drop method, and then I'll say now, because this is an in place, so number 2 is still there, I'm going to remove maybe number 2 and number 4. Okay. Number 1 and number 4, just whatever you want. Put these, say you want to remove number 1, comma number 2. Okay. And then specify the axis as 0 because it's a row. And if you want to be an in place, you can say, so maybe in this case, I want it to be an in place. So I want you to affect the original values or the original file. So I'll say in place equals to true, and then try and run it. Okay, I believe it's a success. How? I'll come here and say, let me call it, see if it has all these rows removed, movies DB. So as we say, you can see that number 1 is missing and number 2 is missing. So now this is your original file already been updated. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, if you want to check if it's for huge files, let's see here. If suppose this was a very huge file, here the first thing you do is display the shape. So say movies DB shape, and then it's a 3,3. This number of rows and number of columns. So in the original, you had 3 rows. Okay, because I've already edited it, I don't know which one I'm dealing with. Maybe at this particular moment, I might get wrong results. So, okay, this was the original, now I've updated it. So now this movies DB, it had originally this number of rows, 5 rows. And I know that because I can count them here. So there was the first one, the second one, third, fourth, and the fifth row here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. And the columns are here. 1, 2, 3, or you can also see them from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. For each row, you have 3 columns. Okay. But then after you have deleted and updated it, you just run the shapes again and see. So maybe we can just run it from here, like the final, and see the movies DB. This is very useful if you're working with large files. So now I have 3,3 because you have removed 2 rows, which are these. Okay. Okay. So that's actually how you remove rows and columns from your Pandas data frame. Okay. Now, thank you for watching. I'll be see you again in the coming videos. Thank you guys.